Hey everybody, this is Games Plus James, and welcome back to our 2D Unity tutorial series where we're taking a look at all the basic elements you need to go out and make your own awesome game of platformy goodness. So today we're going to take a look at adding a live system to the game, so your player can lose lives and you get a game over, and also so you can pick up some extra lives as you wander around your level. So what we're going to have to do is, first of all, we need to have something on the screen to demonstrate how many lives the player has. So we have our canvas system here for shows our score and our health, and we should make use of that again to show our lives. Rather than just having like a little thing saying lives here in the corner and then how many lives you have, we'll make it a little bit more interesting. But first, we're going to just do a couple of little changes to the canvas we already have. I'm just going to rename this to main HUD, and HUD stands for heads up display. That's basically what you call this whole stuff that you see on the screen around you. And I'm going to grab these guys and put them into little objects so we can easily keep track of them all. So I'm going to create an empty object, drag it over here, and we'll call this a score system, and we'll create another empty object here, and we'll call this the health system. And so we'll just drag these items into the help system, and we'll drag these ones into the score system. If we can manage to drag them, we'll be okay. There we go. And we want to make sure that these align into the right places as well. So we actually have this still on the debug view. Turn to the normal view. So we have our score system. Because we created the score system as a game object outside of the UI, it actually doesn't show up the options we need. So actually we shouldn't do that. So we'll drag these back up to the main HUD level, and we'll delete the score system. And what you have to do is right click on main HUD and create an empty, and that will create an object within that, and it will create these positional stuff you need for the UI. So we'll just score system again, and again we'll just drag these guys back in like that. And then we want to make sure they are aligned to the right places. So we had these guys aligned up to the top left. So we want to make sure the score system stays up in the top left. Otherwise, for example, we have the score system. We've just set that back to the top left. If we make this bigger, our score is set up there, but we didn't change the health. So now the health is just being dragged down to a position that we don't want to do. So we'll do the exact same thing up here. Now he's aligned up to the top left corner. So we'll create one more object for our life system. So we'll call this life system, and again we'll align this into the bottom left corner. Perfect. So now we need to add some things to our life system to make it more interesting. So we're going to go to our game object up here and UI, and we're going to add an image. We'll drag that image into the life system, and we're going to game object UI, and we're going to add text, and we'll add the text into the life system as well. So our image, we're going to use just an image of the player, because that's the easiest way to show that it's representing kind of how many lives you have. So we'll go to our source image thing over here. We could drag it from the art into there, but we'll just do this way of doing it. Click on the little circle, find our player, and we'll X out of that, and now you can see it's a big massive giant one. We don't really want that. We will click preserve aspect here, and we'll zoom out so we can see our whole canvas. And obviously that player is way too big. We don't want to do that. Click set native. No, that's not. We want to just resize it basically. So we'll just grab this, and we'll just grab the corner down to a size that looks kind of relatively right. And we know that the character is 16 by 16 pixels. So why don't we just create the width and height to be that? So 16 by 16. So there we go. Now he's a tiny looking little character in the corner. And if we maximize the screen, he stays down in the corner because we aligned the life system down to the bottom left like that. So that's perfect. So now we've got our image, and we've got him roughly in the right position. He can stay around about there, but we have to make this text look useful as well. So we will make this bright white, and instead of text, just as a placeholder, we'll just say X3, just so we know roughly what our lives are going to look like. So we will grab the text and we'll just position that around about there, so that it looks okay down here on the screen. And if we maximize it, Again, you can see it down the corner. Of course, you can change the size of it to whatever you want, whatever you feel comfortable with, but I think that works okay. So now, if we hit play, obviously this isn't going to do anything exciting for us, because at the moment it's just a number and it doesn't do anything. We kill our player, nothing happens, of course. But it looks good. I think it works nicely down there in the corner, so we're happy with that. We'll move on to actually making the script that we need to use for this. So we'll go into our scripts folder, we'll create a new script, create C#, and we'll call this Life Manager. Hit that, and then we'll open that up in our MonoDevelop. And once it's loaded up here, here we go. Okay, so there's a few things that we're going to need for this. We're going to need how many lives you start off with. So we'll say public int starting lives, and we're going to use a private int to keep track of how many lives we have. So we'll call this private int life counter. So starting lives will be how many lives we start off with, and then life counter will be the value that we modify to show up on the screen. And then we're going to need a private actually, before we do that, we have to make sure we're using the UI system from Unity. So up here we have to go using Unity engine.ui. Perfect. So now we'll go back down here. We'll say private text, and then small t text. Then, actually, just to make it more stand out, we call it the text. So we're creating a text object, and we're calling it the text. And then in the start function, what we're going to do is go the text is equal to get component text, I believe. Yes. So that will find the text on the object, and it will assign it to that, and then we can we'll be able to modify that value with our starting lives and our life counter. And also in the start function, we want to make sure that the life counter is equal to the starting lives. Oh, no, not start, is equal to starting lives. There we go. So now basically we're going to just make it very simply show up how many lives we have. So we'll just go the text dot text. So that's getting the text within the text object. The text dot text is equal to and we had x and a space, and then plus the value that we're wanting to use, which is our life counter. So now we'll save that. That's all saved, and we'll pop back into the game, and we're just going to add that to our text object here of our life system. We don't want to add it to the life system here because there's no text object attached to that. We want to go to the text object specifically. So we want to add the component here, Life Manager, and as we can see, we've got an error because I typed a small g instead of a capital G. There we go. You always want to be careful with your capitals when you're coding stuff. So now we just wait for that to compile. What's the error? Oh, because look, we're not searching for a component of the text. We're just searching for a component text. There we go. That was the little issue we were having there. Oh, that was a silly one. So now it should compile all okay. There's no more errors. So it's important to always check and make sure your code is accurate. So now we've got a life manager and we've got our starting lives. We won't set it to 3 just as an example. We set it to say 5. So now just make sure that's working. We'll hit play, and our little life counter thing in the corner here should yep, there we go. It changes to 5. That's perfect. But obviously at the moment that's not we're not able to change that yet. So what we're going to do is add 2 little functions to our system here. So we're going to say public void give life, and we're going to do another one of public void take life. So these 2 functions are what we'll use to call from other scripts to call on here, and this is what will either add lives or take them away. So give life will be the only code that'll be in it will be just life counter plus plus. So what that does is just increments life counter by 1. So if you have 5 lives, it'll change it to 6 or whatever. And then we'll do the exact opposite for take life. Take life will just be life counter minus minus. Because you're not going to be in a situation where something's going to take away 2 lives or something's going to add 2 lives. Well, generally speaking, you're not going to be. And if you are in that situation, it's very easy to code in the script to just add 2 to call this function twice. So rather than having to take in a value or anything like that, we'll just simply make it add or subtract the life. So now that we can add and subtract a life, we need something else that can actually call that and make something happen. And at the moment, we have our player has a health system in the game. So obviously, if we have the health system already in place, we should utilize that to add and remove lives from the player. So we'll open our health manager script up in MonoDevelop over here. So now when it's open, it's going to be very simple. We're just going to create a new object, a new variable, of a public, no, not even public, we'll make it private. We'll do a private life manager, which is the script we just created, and we'll just call this life system, just for easiness sake. And then we will make it find the life manager object in the scene. So life system is equal to find objects of type life manager. There we go. And basically all we're going to do is, here we have our little function that decides when the player's health is less than 0, it does the whole respawn the player system. But if the player health is less than 0, we also wanted to take a life away. So life system dot take, take life. That's what we called it, wasn't it? Let's just pop back and make sure we have the right one. Yes, take life. So now what that'll do, it'll minus our life from our player. So we'll just save that. And now if we go back into the game, that should, if everything is working okay. We can't convert life manager array. Go back up here. What are we missing here? Oh, we said we found objects. Oh, you have to be very specific sometimes. For example, the problem there was that MonoDevelop wasn't suggesting anything for me to be able to automatically import it. Sometimes when you have to type out the whole object, these errors can come into play. And unfortunately, MonoDevelop isn't very reliable in that way. Sometimes it works, sometimes it's completely broken. But we'll play this now, and we'll pop up the 5 lives. Now when we kill the player, there we go, we've dropped back down to 4. And if we kill the player any other way as well, by these guys walking into you, for example, bang, there we go, we're dead. That's perfect. That's just what we wanted. So obviously, we'll just play this again. Now we have our 5 lives or whatever, but all it's doing at the moment is we kill ourselves a few times here, and we get to 0, and if we lose 1 more life, oh, we've got -1 lives, -2. We're not doing anything with our thing. We need something to happen. And basically what we want to do is create a game over for the game. So what we're going to do, back in our game here, we're going to create a new part of the main HUD here. We're going to go to main HUD, right click on it, and create an empty child, and we'll call this game over screen. And this is something that's going to be taking up the whole screen. So what we want to do is, on our positional thing here, we want to go for this one down here that will stretch anything inside it to the full size of the screen. So we'll click on that there. And now what we're going to do is go to game object, UI, and we're going to add an image here, and we'll drag that into that folder. And for this image, we're just going to make it completely black. So we'll drag that down to the bottom. Move it into the center here. Well, it doesn't matter where it is actually. We'll go switch to the size changing tool, and we'll drag the size out all the way to the big size, and then we're going to add another text object here, and we'll drag that onto game over, and we'll make the text bright white, and we'll make this box just quite big, and we'll make the center of it exactly in the middle because that's where we want our text to be, and we will align the text into the middle like this, and we'll just make it say game over, and we'll set the size really big. Say we'll go for 48. There we go. So now once this object will be called once the script reaches 0 is the idea we're going for here. So we're going to have that deactivated by default because obviously we don't want that on the screen the whole time. And we'll pop back into our script here, and we're going to need to create an object for that, obviously, or a variable for that. So we'll go public game object game over screen. And now hopefully, if everything works that we need, what we'll do is create a little function here. So we have our text being updated on the screen, but if this player gets to 0, then we know we're on our last life. For example, actually we'll talk about this. In some games, when the player gets to 0 lives, that means they're on their last life. But in other games, when the player gets to 0, that means it's game over. So you need to kind of decide yourself which way you will want that to work. So what I'm going to go with here is if you have 0 lives in the corner, that means you have no more extra lives left. So we're going to say if life counter is less than 0, and we'll just make this a loop here. So then if it's less than 0, then our game over screen dot set active true. So what that'll do is it'll go, okay, the game over, the player's lost all his lives, so now we will make it be a game over. And we don't want the player to be able to move actually after this has happened. So what we should do is go public game object player. Actually, this should be a capital G here as well. There we go. Game object player, and we'll make it find the player in the level at the start. So our player is equal to find object of type player. Oh no, actually no, that won't work. We'll have to manually set it, I think. Will we? No, we'll do public player. That's what we need to do. Public player. So then find the player here, and then when the game over screen is set active, what we'll do is player dot game object dot set active false. So then when the game over screen comes on, we won't be able to move the player around behind anymore. We won't be able to see it anyway, but he might be able to move around and walk into the spikes, for example, and then you'll hear the sound of the spikes being played. So, oh no, we've got the type or namespace player company have found. Oh, no, actually, we got a player controller. That's what it is. Sorry, not player. So public player controller. Again, this is why we're having an issue at the moment with MonDevelop. It's not pulling up any suggestions for us. We would normally be able to see that immediately, but obviously it's decided not to work. Let's wait for us today. So once it's finished compiling now, if it all goes, yep. So now we've got in our life system, we'll go to our text, and on our script here we've got our game over screen. So we'll drag that in here, and it should automatically find the player first. So now if we hit play, we'll try getting rid of all our lives again. So we walk into that, So now we have our last life remaining. There we go. Game over. That's perfect. That's just exactly what we wanted to happen. So if we pop back into our script here, now we're stuck with a game over screen that nothing's happening. We don't need to... We've nothing else going on. We don't want to just be stuck on the game over screen forever. So what we'll do is, once the player reaches game over, we will load up the main menu of the game so that they have to start everything all over again. You could load them into whatever level you want, but that's just what we'll do here. So we'll go public string main menu. So this will be the string that says the name of the level that we want to load, and we'll have a certain amount of time that it waits between loading. So public float wait after game over, we'll call this. So it'll wait however length of time after the game over has occurred. So after our little text update function here thing, once we know that life counter is less than 0, we have the game over object set to true. So if the game over object is set to true, then we're going to make the time count downwards. So if game over screen dot active self, so that'll determine if the object is active or not, and if that's true, then wait after game over minus equals time dot delta time. So that'll subtract the length of time that the update is taken since the last loop. It'll subtract that every time it goes around. And actually, we've created a capital A there. Is that's not supposed to be there, is it? Apparently I created that in the object up here. So that'll subtract it and it'll count down over time. And then if wait after game over is less than 0, then create our little loop, application dot load level, and the level we're going to load is our main menu string that we created up above. So now we'll save that and we'll pop back into the game here, and we should be on our life manager here. And what we want to do is open our levels so we can see we've got title menu is the name that we're using for our main screen, our main menu screen. So down here now we've got our option for main menu, so when you type that in the exact same, so title underscore menu, and how long will we wait while the game over screen is up? We'll say 4 seconds. Now you could of course put the game over screen up and create a little script for if the player presses enter, for example, it loads up the main menu, or if the player presses jump or anything like that. And as that's something we've covered in the past, and if you would like to do that, you can use the knowledge you've already gained through this series to do that yourself. Because I'm interested in seeing that people cannot just take directly the lessons that we've learned, but can apply those lessons to other things. So you definitely have that knowledge already. So if you feel that's how you'd like to implement it in your game, just give us some thought and you can definitely do that yourself. But we've got it going here now, so we'll hit play. And now if we take away all our lives by walking into the spike guy here, so down to 3, 2, 1, 0, last life, oh, game over, wait a few seconds, and then it should, there we go, we've loaded up the main menu, that's perfect. So we go play a new game again then, and we can die as many times as we want, and that's absolutely fine. And like I was discussing before, if you wanted a live system where 0 isn't the last life, instead of life counter is less than 0, we could say if life counter is equals 0. So we pop back in here and we'll hit play again. Once that's finished compiling, we'll actually put our number of lives down a bit rather than having it being taken so long to get killed. Was it finished compiling? There we go. So just put our starting lives on 2. So now if we hit play, as I said, depending on which way you would prefer your live system to work, once it starts playing, we've got 2, we've got 1. There we go, game over. But we don't want to just take away our lives. We want to add lives to the player. So we're going to create a very simple little object to add the lives to our player. So if we go into our art here, we're going to drag a player object into the scene. We'll zoom in a bit just so we can place it in the level. Place it there. We don't want it to be the same size as the player though, because then you'd be confused as to where you're starting off, who you're controlling. So we'll make this like a nice little small guy. So we'll just make this half the size, so 0.5. And we're going to make this a pickup object. So we're going to add a box collider 2D to him. So box collider 2D, and we're going to make that a trigger. So then all we need to do with him is create a very simple little script that we can add to him. So we'll say create C# script. We'll call it life pickup. And then we'll open this up in here. And this is going to be a very straightforward one that basically much the same as what we've done to add points to the score system and everything like that. We're just going to add extra lives to the player. So at the start here, we're going to make it detect the life manager object that's in the scene. So we'll create a private life manager object, and we'll call this life system, just to be straightforward. And in our start function, we will grab our life system and we'll find that in the scene. So find object of type life manager. And so then once it's found that, we won't be using the update loop, so we can just get rid of that altogether if we can select it. There we go. And then we'll create a void on trigger enter 2D. So it'll detect when something enters the trigger zone, and we will we need a capital C here, collider 2D other. So then it'll find what the other object is, and then if other.name is equal to player. So if it's the player that walks into the pickup item, then what we want to do is go to our life system and then give life, and that will increment our life by 1. And then once it's picked up, we want to make sure we destroy the game object, because we don't need it still hanging around here or anything. So destroy game object, save that, pop back into our game. We've got our little item here. We'll rename this to life pickup. I'll just finish compiling it. There we go. And we will add that script, our life pickup script. Oh no, not life manager. That was the wrong one altogether. Life pickup. There we go. So now we hit play once again, and once it starts running here, jump across, run over here, and bam, we got our pickup, and we add our lives up to 3 from 2. So there you go. That's the basics of everything that we want to add to the game. You might want to add a sound on that pickup. You might want to add a little particle effect that's created. And again, we've covered that before in the series, so if you're interested in doing something like that, definitely add it in yourself. What we also want to do is make sure that we've created this new HUD system for our lives and whatnot. So we want to make sure that that's in all our other levels as well. So we're going to grab this main HUD, go to our prefabs folder here. We're going to grab him, and actually we're going to drag him into our prefabs objects here. And what we want to do is go into one of our other levels. So level 2 here, we'll save our scene there. And in level 2, what we're going to do is delete the canvas that's already there, because we're not going to use the old version of it. We want this new version to carry over. And we'll drag our main HUD in. There we go. Now we can see it's here in the level. And we'll save that. And we'll go to level 3. And again, we'll delete the canvas that we have there. Go to our prefabs folder, drag our main HUD in. And there we go. So now, well, it'd be handy if this camera was anywhere useful as well, so we actually see what's going on. There we go. So now we have our main HUD in the levels, and now whenever we make any changes to our main HUD, once we apply the changes in any single level, that'll carry over into all the other levels, and it'll work out perfectly for us. So now if we play here, for example, we're in level 3, the way we've created the life system is it finds everything that we need within the level. So it finds the player and whatnot, and now if we kill ourselves, we lose our life. Kill ourselves again, game over, the level is completed. So there you go. That's our basic life system added to the game. Everything works perfectly fine, and it's all good. So thank you for watching, everybody. I will of course return with more tutorials in the very near future, But thanks for watching these, and I hope you've been enjoying them, and I hope to see some games that people have been putting together themselves. It's been interesting. I've got a few of them so far already, and it's really interesting to see what you guys have come up with based off this series and what you've learned from what we're doing here. So thanks for watching, and I will be back soon with more tutorial goodness. Goodbye. Thanks for watching this episode, and if you'd like to see just how some of the concepts we've covered can be brought together into a fully fledged game, then head to portalnauts.com and check out the demo for my game that I've been working on for the last while. It uses a lot of the concepts we covered so far in the series, as well as other things that we're going to cover in the future. So if you want to get a feel for where we're going and what kind of things you can make with these with the basics of Unity, head over there, try out the game for yourself, and let me know what you think of it, of course. And the best place to let me know is to head to Twitter @GamesPlusJames. Say hi, I'm always there, ready to say hello and do stupid things. But also, if you'd like to see some of the game being worked on and developed in real time, head to twitch.tv/GamesPlusJames, where I regularly stream development of the game, and you can get to see behind the scenes of how things all work. So, head there, say hello, and I'll see you all in the near future.